Concordia? We're talking about a ship? The one song you don't want to be playing.
I've got a good feeling about this.
Curse. Well, shit. There's nothing. It's messed up, but it's funny. And my heart will. Oh, crap. Anyone that's seen Titanic will be freaking the frick out. Go on. Do you have a question before you redeem something? I have an answer before you redeem something? Hi, Jellybean. Hi, Anonymous. Hi, Lois. Lois. It's going good. Hi, how is everyone else doing? How much wood would a woodchuck chuck? If a woodchuck could chuck wood? Billions. Billions! Billions! That is the answer to all of these questions. Billions. They'll take me over. It has an answer, 50. The answer is 50? Wait, what are we answering? What are we answering? Reveal thyself. They'll take me over. I gained like so much weight. I ate so much mac and cheese. I gained like 5 pounds. 4 or 5 pounds, I think. Me and mac and cheese are mortal foes. Because I love it so much, but it also gives me weight. Concordia! Sure. Internet historian. Oh, that's an hour long. Well, get ready for a very long react, guys. Yum 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 yum. Thank you for the flesh bunny. Oh, I could chuck 50 wood. It's either 50 or billions. Take your pick.
The Cost of Concordia.
Concordia.
Ship of dreams. It's been
We're talking about a ship? Well, ship.
8
Here we go.
years. I can still smell the buffets from their 5 restaurants. The casino and 3-story theater had hardly been used. The gym.
The gym. Okay, so billions. Got it.
The day spa.
The day spa.
1,500.
I'd like to spend my vacation at the library. Or the spa. Spa would be nice.
Please, sir, can we get just a wee bit more volume?
Sir! Dragon. There. you get a wee bit more volume.
Luxurious cabins. Hadn't even been.
Is that good enough? You do know it silences itself when I talk, right? It's gonna do that. Because you made me do that. So now it's gonna get quiet when I talk. I swear to God, Valley. I swear to all that is holy. All that is... I swear to Zeus. And I do that very rarely.
Slept in.
See, watch. It's gonna get quiet. It's gonna get very quiet. Because I'm talking. I'm talking!
To build. And you could tell. You could really tell.
There's nothing.
I remember it like it was just a few years ago. We had left
And my heart will
Rome and
go
we were
on.
our way to Savona. It was day 2 of our 7-day journey. But that ship, she was cursed.
Cursed. Wait, is this ship sponsored by the this video, or is this video sponsored by the ship? It says Cost of Concordia. The levels of like, it's a cruise line. No, it's a video. It says the Cost of Concordia. Please get with the program and read. That's funny.
When she premiered, the traditional bottle of champagne bounced right off the side instead of smashing. A bad omen, but I'm not the superstitious type.
Hi, Fancy Dragon. How was your Saturday? My Saturday was eventful. I gained 3 pounds. That's gotta be the funniest joke I've read for the last few weeks. It's messed up, but it's funny.
Nothing could go wrong on Friday the 13th.
No, we're trying to lose weight. I need to go to the gym, but I don't have time to go to the gym, nor do I make enough money to go to the gym. One of these things needs to be solved. Nope, neither can be solved. Trying to lose weight? Yes.
Of January 2012.
My goal is like 160, 150.
On the 100th year anniversary of the Titanic.
Can't do that. That would require me to not stream.
On a ship that's also only safe.
Like, I would go to the gym after stream, but that costs money.
Rated for 2-compartment flooding, especially not.
What do you mean? No more brownies. Just send me protein brownies. Protein brownies are very acceptable. Absolutely. Way. No, I'm not. I don't have stairs in my house, sadly.
You have a 5-star.
I'm poor, remember?
Max level captain.
Stairs are for rich people. Poor people will soon not have the ligaments in their middle part of their foot called a knee. We will have legs. That's it.
Like Francisco Scatino.
We don't need knees.
Mysteriously rose from head of security to the position of captain within just a couple of years. He knows exactly what to do in case of an emergency. For example, when he caused this emergency in 2008, when he crashed into a port in Sicily. And in 2010, in Warnemünde, Germany, when he was steering a different ship and came into port too fast and caused another collision. I've got a good feeling about this. So let's set the scene.
His head detached.
It's a beautiful evening. People are having fun on the slides.
That's why I always put like rice crackers and low calorie stuff as like on my throne.
Drinks at the bar. Antonio Magnotta is playing piano at the restaurant. Martin the magician is setting up for his show. And the ship is setting
Martin! Martin's magical.
up for a little detour. It's called a sail by salute. Basically, you get real close to the shore and honk the horn. The locals hate it, but the customers love it, and it's a tradition. Scatino, the captain, comes into the dining hall with a lady, Dominica Samorton. Remember this face, because you'll be seeing a lot of it later.
Imprint the face on my brain. Imprint the face on my brain. I must remember.
Scatino eats his dinner with her, and
What were we just looking at? I don't know.
socializes for a little while. Then he, Dominica, and the maitre d' finish up and excuse themselves. They're heading to the bridge.
Who's that?
For that sail by
Why is she like there? Why is he making her like look fancy?
salute. This time, they're going to get closer than ever. Just 1,500 feet from the island of Giglio. And how are they going to determine this distance? Well, of course, the captain is going to eyeball it. Apparently, it's not an uncommon thing to do. Scatino turns to the fella steering, his helmsman, Jacob Ruslibin.
Why does he look so fancy? Is he amazing?
First interesting tidbit. Costa Crociere has hired Jacob from Indonesia at a rock-bottom price, and he's a bit of a newbie to the job. In fact, his profession hitherto, a painter and a cleaner. It's his first time steering a massive ship, and he's very excited. At least, we think he is. It's hard to tell because he doesn't speak English or Italian very
I feel like there's an issue with this. I'm not sure though.
well at all. Off to a good start. The second in command orders the helmsman
If you say so.
to 290. Now, don't be confused by these numbers, they're just the degrees on a compass. At the same time, the captain whips out his cell phone and calls former captain Mario Palombo, who lives on the island. They chat about the safe distance to Giglio's shores. It's all very casual. Anyway, Mario says that the safe distance is between 0.3 and 0.4 miles from shore. The captain is going all in. This is not his first sail by salute, so he's confident in what he's doing. We're going closer than we've ever been before. The captain's eyeballing it again. New heading of 300, he tells the helmsman. Downstairs, Martin is about to cut his assistant in half.
Why am I scared that he's gonna cut more than he should have her?
And of course, that means that there's already a lady inside this box. She's waiting for the cue, and then she'll poke her legs out. The captain is giving more orders. Pulling gently to 310. Increase speed to 16 knots. Going this fast is going to be a fatal error. But before we talk about that, let's talk about another big problem. Language barrier. Because at this point, the captain says 325, but the helmsman relays 315. So the first officer intervenes, and he goes, no, 335, which is also wrong.
That may be an issue.
And then the captain clarifies, no, 325. The helmsman confirms 325. Their poor communication has them moving at a much wider angle than they think they are. However, the captain should and would know this, except for the next problem: complacency about procedure. The standard procedure of a ship this large is for the third officer to give exact positional coordinates every time the captain gives a new directional order. But they're not doing that.
Well, that's not good. Hi, Wicked!
330, he says. The helmsman relays 330. The ship reaches 16 knots. The captain then turns to the second officer and instructs him to go to the left wing. That's these things here, and they basically exist so you can get a better view over the whole vessel. A few seconds pass, and then the mood starts to turn. Scatino notices white foam of waves breaking against the rocks directly in front of him in the distance. The Cost of Concordia, right now, is almost 700 meters closer to the rocks than it should be. Without deviation, there is going to be a direct collision.
Oh, shit!
Scatino immediately
Oh, crap!
commands the ship to start turning away. 335. Not enough. The captain shouts, 340. The captain yells, 350. Now, remember how I said that accelerating to 16 knots was a fatal error? Well, that's because it's made this ship incapable of such a drastic turn. What they've got is understeer. Here's an example.
The front end is not working. You're turning, and you're just going straight. You want to go over here, but you're going to end up over here.
So despite the order of 350, right now the bow is still only pointing at 327. Not nearly enough to miss the rock. And oh no, it's about to get worse. That language barrier again. In these critical moments where every second counts, the helmsman wrongly relays 340. The captain snaps back, 350 starboard or we end up on the rocks. The third officer goes to assist the helmsman. Now, don't get confused by the orders from here. We're changing over to rudder instructions.
Rudder.
The captain yells, starboard 10, starboard 20, and still it's not enough. Hard to starboard. That means as hard as it'll go. But at this point, even if they clear these rocks, they need to get the rest of the ship to swing around it. So the captain yells, midship, which centers the rudder. The bow is now less than 150 meters from Skull Rock. Port 10. But the helmsman only gets to port 5 before another order is given 2 seconds later. Port 20. They might just avoid disaster here, maybe. But then, oh no. One more time, the helmsman cocks up at the worst possible moment. The helmsman goes to starboard instead of port, undoing the swing. 8 seconds later, he realizes the error and corrects, but it's too late. He has just turned a probable near miss into a sure hit. All they can do now is hold on as the bow of the ship narrowly passes by the rocks. Hard to port! The second officer yells, "We're gonna hit!" Collision.
Death. Destruction. Chaos. Chaos control! Right? That's how it works. It's a swing and a hit. Home run. Call Max. Calling. They ain't picking up. They say frick you. Oh! Why is the coffee flying? Why does he look so suave? You have no right to look this suave. Demarca. Demarca! Why are you looking so suave? Consume the water.
Downtown.
Who's Ed Tim?
Nordtown.
Not cute!
It's day 56 of playing Russian roulette.
Russian
Seems
roulette.
I never win.
Gonna drink all by yourself?
Somebody has to.
I hear you're a man who's good at finding folks.
I'm many things.
I'm looking for this fella. I got to find him. It's breaking my little heart.
I'll see what I can do. I have contacts in thousands of servers
This is funny.
in dozens of countries across
I
the
like
world.
this.
And just like that, she was gone.
Gone.
The only thing she left was a calling card. Sometimes when you follow a case, it follows you back. NordVPN can protect my online data. But who can protect me?
Protect me
From myself.
from myself.
When they said this job gets easier, it was just another lie.
Go, go.
It's found his password spread all the way down the block. In a perfect world, we'd all use NordVPN. But I guess this isn't that kind of story.
It's not
I
a
took the
perfect.
brakes off my
What?
car. Man like me never really learned how to stop.
Blah.
I took the steering wheel out too. I let the road take me where I'm supposed to be. That's right, Toots. Your husband's dead.
Dead.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Go to nordvpn.com/internethistoria for a huge discount on a 2-year plan.
I beat you to it. I win. I did that before he did.
Oh.
That cool.
The ship hits rocks on the port side. A 53-meter gash opens up in the hull, and thousands of tons of water begin pouring in. A loud scraping and bang is heard by all passengers. At the helm, there's panic. Rumblings in the dining room. Martin awkwardly pauses his act as he's helping his assistant into the box. Meanwhile, the lady inside is trapped and terrified. There's confusion across the ship. All of the crew off shift come back on duty. All officers run to the bridge. Technical crews run down to the lower decks to assess damage. On connection with the rocks, they lose propulsion and slow to 8.3 knots. And they are now adrift. Close the watertight doors at stern. Enormous volumes of water are pouring in. So much so that within 29 seconds of collision, all 6 engines stop working through flooding. 22 seconds later, a blackout happens. Lights, electrics, the water pumps too, everything. The captain orders the helmsman hard starboard. This is the final position of the rudder before power to that too is lost. The Cost of
R1
Concordia,
Price live
now
action
without
season 2
power,
trailer.
is drifting
It's everything we
starboard,
expected from season
plunged
1 and more.
into absolute
Oh, thank you.
darkness. A quick breakdown of the flooding. When the Concordia struck land, it tore open 3 watertight compartments. At first, compartment 5, which filled very rapidly. Then 6 more slowly, 4 shortly after. Then 7, 8, and 3. Modern ships are built to withstand 2 compartment breaches. These compartments especially, though, are a problem because they contain the engines and the electrics. These main generators give power to the whole ship. From propulsion motors to rudder to hotel functions, pretty much everything. When they went out, the ship was a functionless, sinking cage. A few seconds later, the emergency batteries for internal lighting and communications kick on. When the lights come back on, Martin has vanished. He's ditched the stage. And it caused a huge panic in the theatre, as passengers are trying to flee to their cabins and to muster stations. People already in their cabins come out and start putting on life vests. Staff rally and try to calm everyone down. Everything is fine. There's no need for vests. Please return
No need for best, as there's water pouring into the ship.
to your cabins. The emergency generator starts. All of the watertight doors close except for door 12, which is jammed. The captain calls Pilon, the chief engineer, as the ship begins to list on the port side. There's water coming in? Yes, there's water. But where? The engine room. But a lot of water? Yes! There's water, you can't go down. Let's go down the other side. In a moment we'll start the pumps, I'll let you know. In the theatre, the whole magic box apparatus slides right off the stage and falls into the crowd, further increasing panic. On the bridge, an announcement is being prepared. They are going to lie to prevent a panic. Let's just say we have a blackout. The Deputy Chief Engineer enters the engine control room. He confirms to the bridge that at least compartments 5, 6, and 7 are flooded. Announcements are made.
We asked the captain to inform you that due to an electrical fault, which is currently under control, we're currently in a blackout. Our technicians are working to resolve the situation and will inform you of developments as they occur. Thank you for your attention.
Coincidentally, at the same time in the restaurant, they're playing My Heart Will Go On, and it's very much not.
That's freaking hilarious. My Heart Will Go On. The one song you don't want to be playing during a ship accident is playing. Anyone that's seen Titanic will be freaking the frick out. They'll be like, wait a minute, this plays on all ships when they go down? People are losing their crapper right now.
Not helping the situation. The captain calls the Costa Crisis Unit. Roberto...
Why is it... Wait, why is that even a song you play on the ship? No, I'm not small. You're small. But why? But why? I would have anxiety just hearing that song on a ship.
He tells the crisis unit that they've hit a rock, that they're assessing damages, and that they are also in a blackout. The crisis office says to reverse the ship up onto shore. Well, how are you going to do that? You don't have power to the rudder, let alone the engine. You know, hoist the sails? Anyway, around this time, the wind direction creates a starboard list, and the ship begins to turn anyway, drifting right back towards the shore, which is a very good thing because you want the ship to end up as close to shore as possible. A panicked passenger senses that something is off. This isn't like any electrical problem that she's ever seen. Plus, there was a massive crashing noise and now the ship is tilting. So, she contacts her daughter in Italy. The daughter then calls the police, and the police call the harbour master. While that goes on, a conversation between Pilon and Ambrosio. The diesel is not starting. The captain asks the engine room, but where have we made contact? Thinking that the incoming water can be reduced. Captain, here everything is lost. The electrical panel, everything. They're saying at this point that the ship is going down. The captain calls Roberto Ferrarini again. Actually, 2 compartments have been flooded, but don't worry, the ship's stability isn't in danger. Wrong. Passengers begin going to muster stations on their own initiative. The crew...
I think it's hilarious that all I think it's hilarious that all the passengers are doing what they should be doing, and everyone else is like, oh, we're fine, we're not fine, we're fine, we're not fine, we're fine.
The director says, we have a lot of people at muster stations that I do not want
But
to fall overboard. Do we make an announcement to tell them to go to the lounges? Bozio says, I think that's best. The harbour master from Livorno calls the ship. The captain tells them that we just have a blackout. How long has this blackout been going on? About 20 minutes. Have you asked passengers to put on life vests? It's just a blackout. I gotta go. The harbour master is suspicious. He says to his superiors that he thinks something more is going on. He calls a patrol boat to the area and asks them to look at the ship. Another problem. The fan on the emergency diesel generator isn't working properly. Pilon manually has to turn the thing on and off with a screwdriver so that it doesn't overheat and cause a fire. The captain is on the phone to the lower decks, asking pointless questions, like, is it still flooded? Yes. Yes, it is. The captain is essentially in denial of the situation. The harbour master calls again. Finally, he says, the ship is taking on water through an opening on the left side and the ship is listing. He qualifies with, no one dead or injured. The harbour master asks if he needs help. Just a tugboat? When in reality, they need a full rescue. With 3 compartments flooded, the captain finally realizes that things are really bad and they are not going to improve. The Coast Guard orders every available ship to the sea. Meanwhile, up with the passengers, the cruise director's assistant says, Everything's under control. Please return to your cabins or hang about in the lounges, no problem. She said this despite knowing it was wrong and that it further endangered lives. Most passengers at this point, though, aren't listening to this nonsense, and they're busy figuring out how to abandon ship. Bang, 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 bang.
Bang, 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 bing, 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 bong.
Local television has already picked up the story, and they begin broadcasting live radio feed from the bridge. Captain, the passengers are going on board the boats. Okay, let them go to shore. So then general emergency? Wait, let me talk to Ferrarini. We risk the emergency generators that do not have cooling. It has cooling problems, 100 degrees. The cooling fan has stopped. Pilon calls the bridge and tells the safety officer they need to evacuate. The safety officer relays this to the captain, but after no response, he orders the engine room to evacuate on his own. The captain says, "No, stay." We're leaving. So what do? General emergency? The captain tells Ferrarini that he's abandoning ship. Abandon ship! Another announcement is made.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. The situation is under control. Please remain calm. And at this time, proceed to your muster station. They're located outside on deck 4.
The Livorno Coast Guard calls again. The captain declares distress. The Coast Guard officially calls for rescue operations. They contact Pietro Mille, the helicopter base commander, who then calls in every available pilot. As he rushes down to the helicopter base, Pilon shuts down the emergency generator for the final time. The first rescue vessel arrives. By this point, the lifeboats are already going. Luckily, the ship is very close to shore. Oh, perhaps too close to shore. The ship forcefully runs aground, creating an uneven center of gravity, and it begins heavily listing starboard. The captain issues a general emergency on board. The announcement to abandon ship is finally called and alarms ring out, and with that comes panic. And now that they're listing, with many of the lifeboats too awkwardly positioned to enter the water, there aren't enough readily available, and they have to start going back and forth to the shore, picking people up and dropping them off. The patrol boats report to the Livorno harbour master that the ship has run aground and is listing heavily. So the harbour master asks the captain about it, and the captain says, no, the ship is still floating. In fact, we're trying to maneuver it onto the shore. They know he's lying. Hold on, I'm reversing it. Beep, 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 beep. The captain then says to bottom out the starboard anchor.
Beep, 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 beep. They don't beep!
So they
Do they? I don't think they do.
drop out the anchors, but let out too much chain, effectively rendering them useless. The deputy mayor of Giglio, Mario Pellegrini, and tobacco shop owner Giovanni Rossi arrive at the harbour. They watch the scene unfold. As the first of the lifeboats arrive on shore, the deputy mayor takes the initiative and races to board one of the lifeboats, returning to the ship, and starts trying to find someone in charge. He gives up and starts helping passengers. Scatino tells everyone to leave and take radios, but not before changing out of his uniform and into a nice suit. Priorities. Dimitri Kostidis and Silvia Coronica leave with him. The maitre d' and Sir Morton both get out of there. By this point, approximately 300 people are still on the ship. Mille reaches the helicopter base. The first helicopter, a slow-moving Augusta Bell, was already rising from the tarmac for the hour-long flight south. Bozio is the last crew member left on the bridge, coordinating evacuation. He then leaves to help passengers board lifeboats. The bridge is now abandoned. And then, the ship's black box stops working. Apparently there were technical problems with it. That means, from here, things are going to get a little foggy in detail. A while later, rescue helicopters
Nah.
arrive, but they're struggling to find the ship because they're expecting it to still be well above water. Passengers are scaling down the port side by ladder as lifeboats return to pick them up.
This is no joke. Oh my goodness. It was no joke, mi amor. Yes.
You're not allowed to make a film movie.
I'm allowed.
Who say you are?
A second helicopter, a faster model, sets off. The ship stops healing.
I don't think they're allowed. Because that's an emergency situation. You filming could get in the way of people trying to make sure people don't get hurt. I think. Also, why? Why would you be filming in the middle of the emergency area? If you want to film, go away. Go away and stand far away from the emergency area.
And comes to a final resting place.
Like, sure, you want to document it or whatever. That's neither here nor there. But please get out of the way of, like, emergency services and stuff.
Now, the Coast Guard calls the captain because he's just learned that the captain has abandoned ship. The captain claims, no, actually, I slipped and I fell into one of the lifeboats. Well, I'm a klutz. But now that I'm on board, I may as well head back to shore. DeFalco tells the captain to get the fuck back on board. And the captain kind of acts confused and then effectively refuses. So the captain makes it to shore. From here, we only have mainstream news reports to rely on, so it's not going to be super accurate. But they say that Giglio's police chief then finds 110 survivors on the rocks at Point Gabbianara. And among them is the captain. It's not known whether the captain helped anyone while he was there, and in fact, the police chief claimed that he just sat on the rocks and watched other people do the rescuing. A while later...
I mean, apparently, he definitely doesn't know what he's doing, so, like, would you want him to be helping? Hi, RB! But yeah, like, from what I can tell, shouldn't have been a captain. I actually want to talk about that after this, but, yeah, if he seems inadequate, don't let him help. Because he could cause more problems than help.
A rescue boat picks up the captain and takes him to the harbor. He speaks to the police. He then finds the ship's onboard chaplain, Father Rafael Molina, and cries to him for about 15 minutes. Then he goes...
Yeah, someone that's in a position they really shouldn't be in, trying their best with what little they know how to do.
Goes to the harbor master's office to...
But also, who hired the... Because I feel like a lot of the issues here were literally because of communication. It wasn't even really his issue. Was he professional in what he was doing? No. But he was doing a decent job. Like, you even heard where he was able to get it to where it was not going to hit. Should he have been going as fast? No. But he was able to get it to where they were not going to hit. So he's at least very adequate in that area. So it shows, like... It shows some bit of expertise. It feels like the real issue here is you hired someone that could not communicate. And their whole job is to be able to communicate very clearly. I blame the company more than I blame him. Because it sounds like he knew what he was doing for the most part. And he was just scared because he couldn't fully understand why things were going wrong. When actuality, if he had realized how bad the communication was and like what was happening, he'd have like definitely like moved that guy out of the way and put someone else there. Like he'd got the third in charge to like take the helm, because it clearly doesn't seem like it's his fault.
Received probably the biggest...
I have, as a manager, I know that as being a manager in a lot of companies, I know that a lot of companies will skimp and try their very best to train little as possible.
Stress.
Well, no, I'm saying he, at least in the terms of getting the ship to stay where it was, he was doing good. I think he's very not trained well in other areas, but he clearly knows how to steer the ship for the most part. I'm saying he shouldn't have, Wicked. I'm saying he should not have been there, but at the same time, he knew enough that he could have saved the ship. But because of how little people were trained, it didn't matter. So it was a exacerbation of a lot of things. I feel like it would have been worse had he not known what he was doing. Like, completely. I'm saying he did good with what he had. I feel like ultimately it's the company's fault. Because he shouldn't have been there. The guy that should have been in a better person to communicate should have been in that role. Well, yeah, like I said, he shouldn't have been there. But in terms of making sure the ship didn't, like, immediately sink, I feel like he gets that.
Did you forget the clip from the start where the same captain parked a different ship in a hotel?
That's what I'm saying. He shouldn't have been there. If you're listening to me, I said I don't think this is particularly his fault. it feels like a lot of issues the company allowed to happen, plus him not being fully trained. He definitely was trained enough to where he was able to stop issues as badly. But at the same time, if everyone else had been properly trained, this issue wouldn't have happened. But it was multiple people being in wrong roles and not being trained. That was the issue. It wasn't just him. You can't put all the blame on him. Company takes like 80% of the blame there. I would say 15% is his. No. In terms of where the ship ended up, I would say 5% is his fault. 15% is the person they put in the wrong role who did not communicate well, because he caused most of the issue. And then the other 80% is the company's fault. Lois, think about it this way. He wouldn't have been in that role had it not been the company that put him in that role. He would have had better training had the company trained him better. He wouldn't have panicked had he been trained better. He wouldn't have left the ship had he been trained better. Like, he did what he knew how to do, which was right the ship. It didn't work because of the people that weren't communicating very well with him. Notice how he kept having to change his orders, like restate his orders. When you're on a ship, you don't have time for that. Especially when it's a situation like this, you need your orders to be done exactly when you say them. So I think the real issue here is greed, incompetence, and training. 60% of what I just said is on the company. Had he been trained better, he would have done better. It's another issue entirely should he have been there, which I said, no, he should not have. Just based purely off the fact that he wasn't trained very well. Like, that alone, like, is an issue.
Down of his entire life. Port authorities asked the taxi driver to take the captain back to his hotel. The captain takes the 30-second cab ride to the Bahamas hotel. According to the cabbie, he was beaten like a dog. He was cold and afraid. He only asked me where he could buy a pair of fresh socks.
See? Dude was afraid. Dude was scared. He's in a position that he shouldn't be in. Trained very little. He did what little training he had, he used. No, I agree with y'all. He shouldn't have been in the role. But at the same time, he did what he could with the training he had. Does he share some of the blame? Yes. What I'm saying is, I don't think he deserves all of the blame. Well, I don't. Just from hearing that he was afraid and stuff, screams to me that he wasn't trained. Because it sounds to me that he was squandering with, like, issues with other, like, positions. I feel like if the guy that was supposed to be able to communicate with him clearly was fully trained, part of the situation wouldn't have happened. But at the same time, he himself should have realized that this person isn't fully trained. But the reason he didn't is either inadequacy or he wasn't trained in that area either. I would say, if we calculate everyone's blame, he's still at like 10%, because he's such a big linchpin. He's still about 10%. I would say a lot of the people seemed like they were doing the right thing. It was just a few people up front that were bad. There was the person that kept asking if he should do something when clearly he should have. He wasn't listening. He was listening to the captain too much when it came to the situation where he should have realized, no, Lois, in an accident like this, 10% of the blame basically is you're getting in trouble. That's too high of a percent. You have too much of the blame. You're in trouble. I would say the company was probably 50%, because a vast majority of that was undertrained and people in wrong positions. I would say another 10% is the person that wasn't communicating well. Hi, hobbies. And then I would say, hi Dismas, thank you for the like, Dismas. I would say maybe, what are we at now? 70? I would say like the guy that was constantly asking the captain, should I do something? He's like 9%. Because he's not entirely, like, he's kind of doing what he's told to do. But at the same time, there's a point where you should know, I do need to do this. This captain's clearly not trained well. I need to start making these orders. I think the safety captain is 0% because he asked 2 times, which I feel like that's adequate. Should I do this? Captain didn't answer him. He was like, you know what? No, I'm getting these people out. I need their safety first. So he did his job. His job was safety first. He asked the captain, as is his, like, requirement. Captain didn't answer him. He was like, no, I'm going to keep these people safe. So I'm going to err on the side of caution. They will be safe if they're out of there. So they're getting out of there. But I would say a vast majority of the blame goes on the company. Secondary blame goes on the captain and the person that couldn't communicate. Honestly, I don't know who deserves more blame there. Because the way they explained it, the captain was able to, like, had all his directions been followed, the ship would have been safe. Like, obviously, they'd have had to dock, but, well, actually, no, they wouldn't even hit the rock. I don't know. That one I still need more info on, but I do feel like he deserves enough blame that he's punished. Because I think at that point, you should realize I shouldn't be in this position. This is the 3rd time you've crashed. There's the whole 3 strikes and you're out. And I feel like everyone should apply that to themselves. If you fail 3 times in a row, I feel like even you should be like, I probably don't deserve this position.
But then he perked right up again and gave an interview to a news crew. He told them that he was the last to leave.
The captain is usually the last to abandon ship. What happened, Captain?
We were the last to leave the ship.
There's still 35 people on board.
They rescue a search for people on the ship. On Sunday morning, a South Korean couple is found in their cabin, safe but shivering. They had slept through the crash and woke up unable to exit their cabin. The last survivor, Manrico Giampandroni, was found with a broken leg. He was the cabin's service director.
Last survivor? So 31 people died? How many people were on the start of the ship? Was it like 700? Obviously, he should have still been on the ship. That much is very clear. Like, immediately you're at fault there.
32 people died. The final
32 people. 33, including a salvage worker who died in an accident. You can't count that. That death isn't on them. I'm sorry. That's 2 years later. No one involved.
The body wasn't discovered until nearly 3 years later. A crew member, Russell Rebello, and it's believed that he died a hero helping passengers off the ship. The Cost of Concordia was the largest cruise ship disaster since the Titanic. And then there's the ship. This is what happens to a 110,000-ton cruise liner when it's left half rolled over in the ocean.
Yeah, I actually know a lot of things, guys.
But this isn't the end. It's just the halfway point. What most people know is that the Cost of Concordia...
Well, I understand that I don't understand a lot about ship driving and stuff. But like I said, he definitely That's definitely his fault. Ultimately, as a captain, he takes a lot of the fault. I agreed with y'all on that. And I agreed with y'all that he shouldn't have been on the ship. What I'm saying is all of the blame isn't his. Because this is definitely a error in upper management. Because upper management shouldn't even allow this to occur. That's what I'm saying. I don't think I'm wrong in that. Are you saying he's innocent? Because I'm quite confident in saying he is not innocent. Like, he became definitely liable and, like, definitely at fault when he left when there were still people on board. Captain's always the last to leave the ship. Like, that's 100%, like, 100% one of the things.
Had crashed, Minnie dead, and then the captain abandoned ship like a coward.
Yeah, coward.
But there's a whole veritable spaghetti of details to untangle. Let's dive in.
Why are you doing that to that nice spaghetti? That makes my heart hurt.
There they are. The deets.
But why? Put it in another bowl. That's what I just said, guys. I said he's not innocent. I said he's far from innocent. I said he is one of the people to blame. Jelly Bean, you have a lot of faith where faith is not a factor. The upper management definitely paid a lot of money for them not to be put at blame enough. I'm saying at least half the blame goes to them. Because if they were doing their job, he wouldn't have been there. But he is very non-innocent.
Box time. The Cost of Concordia was more than just a floating resort. There's a mall, a casino, cha-ching, cha-ching. This iron chest was full of safes and cash registers and expensive fittings. And there were plenty of gamers prepared to sneak by authorities and try their luck in the hot zone. Within days, police divers reported that valuable items, once seen lying around the ship, were now missing. High-end liquor, expensive furniture, dining sets, cash from the casino, cash registers, jewelry and display cabinets, safes, Japanese woodblock prints by famous 18th century artists. What?
I'm gonna be honest. That was gonna happen.
As well as the iconic bell, which hung from the bridge of the ship. It was never found.
I'd have stolen the bell, I'm gonna be honest. The bell would have been the first thing on Boka's hoard list.
Who steals a big fuck-off bell? Even the
dragons do.
Server admins were getting involved. 4 divers who were part of the company contracted to refloat the Concordia were spotted on CCTV, sneaking out to the ship. A patrol boat was dispatched, and the men were caught inside the fancy suites with rucksacks full of stolen goods. The 4 men are charged with stealing and thieving and pinching. Later on, stolen as well as legitimate items found their way to Amazon and eBay. Chips from the casino, postcards, and cabin access cards became highly sought after souvenirs.
It even has a watermark.
Some Australian guy even made a listing for the ship itself, advertising it as buyer to collect. And although there were plenty of bidders, eBay pulled the plug. I know you want to see Scatino go to jail, and we'll get to that, but...
Yeah. I feel like you have to go to jail. The second you left the ship without everyone off the ship, it was the second where I say you take a lot more blame.
But first, we have to talk about someone else.
Like, I understand he was panicking and scared. Probably due to the, like, lack of training and, like, professionalism, but, yeah.
Domnica Samorton.
That was a close one.
There was speculation that she was on the bridge that evening because she was the captain's mistress.
Tense media speculation reports that her presence distracted the captain.
They both denied their love for years and maintained that they were just friends. Although she did later admit to the media that she found him handsome. And how could you not?
You so fucking precious when you smile.
But she says there was no romantic link between them.
Some people would like to believe, they want to know.
I don't know.
Have something with him. It's more interesting. It's like, you know, some spicy in the story.
Mr. Morton also loved the spotlight, however.
Everyone, oh look!
And took several interviews. But as the pressure mounted upon her, she began making ominous threats to Scatino, saying he must confess, and that you have but 1 week to come clean. But things from here get weird.
Spicy.
Sir Morton is a bit of a wild card. In a subsequent interview, she claimed a helicopter came to the ship well before the other rescue craft to take away a package. Huh? And what was that package? Drugs, apparently. So
you see what I mean about like managers and stuff? There ain't no way. Hi, North.
Rumors began that the ship was running narcotics for the mafia. And not without cause. A number of cruise ships, even recently, have been caught trafficking drugs.
To be fair, like that's like the simplest way and easiest way to hide it. To be fair. Like, that's not surprising. But at the same time...
Scatino was tested for drugs immediately after the crash. He tested negative for drugs in his system, but trace amounts of cocaine were found in a hair sample.
Makes it smoother and less dry.
Nonetheless, the Concordia was certain.
Why was it in his hair? That's a hard one to understand.
And no drugs were reportedly ever found. How did we get here? Oh, right, a helicopter. Sir Morton commented on it again the next day and said, actually, that helicopter was just for the captain as a means of evacuation from the ship. Okay, wait. So she expected to get some sort of first-class rescue while everyone else was still stuck on the ship? Wait, how did we get here? Oh, right, sex with the captain. Divers were quick to head to the
I like how Beyblade keeps playing.
Sir Morton's lingerie and other articles of clothing as well as a makeup bag. The jig was up, but they continued denying it. Sir Morton mostly faded from international attention until she was told to appear before the court to present witness testimony. The judge pressed her to be truthful about their relationship, or she would be held in contempt.
Either tell me the truth or shut up.
So finally, she admitted it.
Yes, I had a sentimental relationship with the captain.
Stop.
But now, stop asking about my private life.
She was indeed the captain's lover.
What is up, trouble alert?
Figured that. I was like thinking about it. The only reason she was able to make these political moves is people let her. I feel like past the fact that she was possibly from what it sounded like, at least what they explained, it didn't sound like she was distracting him, but also at the same time, you can't say she didn't because clearly was up there, so, like...
No, cheated on his wife with Morton. Oh my god!
She and Scatino had been having an affair for several weeks. She also said that on the night she boarded, she didn't have a ticket.
Ticket, please.
And didn't need to pay because nobody questions you when you're the captain's lover. Naturally, she gave another confusing interview after leaving court.
I want to say that today is the second time I died because the first time I died in the night of the crash with my psychological brain and problems. And today I died the second time because, of course, people find out something that I try to hide.
Subsequent to the trial, she used her fame in Moldova to become a political activist, often appearing on television and radio and in articles covering protests, accompanied by pictures of her being arrested by police.
I love the little notes at the bottom. She's complaining that there aren't enough bins in the area. The police are telling her, calm down, and point out the bins right next to her. They're right here. And the crowd are standing around telling Telling police she's allowed to protest here. It's generally just protecting her. She got arrested for just freaking out that there are not enough trash cans here. That's the gist of that.
It was some stuff about victims of violence, women's rights,
Girl power.
yada yada yada. And interestingly, part of a push to block the sale of shares of Moldova's train network to Russia.
Sure.
Other than that, I don't really know what she's been up to. Let me just check on her Oh God, not again.
Oh dear. Gigolo.
Several civil suits were quickly lodged against Cost of Concordia, and their parent company, Carnival Cruises, immediately saw a share drop of 23%.
That's funny.
Don't beat. Passengers sought compensation for their damaged mental health, lost belongings, and loved ones.
Either they allowed him to divert from his course, or they didn't know where their billion-dollar ship was.
Within a few days, facing financial and media pressure, the CEO attempted to join the bandwagon against the captain and the crew.
That was not the ordinary route that the ship was...
Well, that makes you inadequate because you should know where your ship is at all times. Like, that's literally your job.
taking at the time, and was not only taking, but the time the ship was...
Claiming that the ship was not approved to deviate from the route. But that wasn't true. Approval isn't required if the ship is deviating by less than 15 miles, or that it was against company rules. Also untrue, because investigators found that they didn't have any rules about deviating route, and they tacitly encouraged sail-by salutes. Now, in response to the civil suits, Cost of Concordia offered passengers 11,000 euros each as compensation.
That's kind of small.
11,000 euros, about $14,000, is the minimum compensation under international law when a ship is abandoned.
Double it and give it to the next person, and then we can start talking.
This was to reimburse them for their tickets, as well as any costs they accrued in having to unexpectedly travel home early.
And that was
I'm trying to think, how much would that cost? From what I understand, there was Koreans and Japanese people aboard. Yeah, $14,000 ain't enough, buddy. That's barely covering all of the expenses they would have to take to get back home, let alone their clothes and everything else.
supposed to release them from...
200K to the families per person dead of the people affected by those deaths. $50,000 per person. Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. Because that would definitely, effectively pay back the people that, from Japan and Korea and stuff, where, that's a very long way for them to go. Plus it's last minute. Plus all their belongings. Plus all their, clothes. Plus all, there are some people that are probably severely traumatized by this.
Everything and anything that has to do with this accident, I cannot ask for more than this.
A lot of passengers, understandably, were not too happy with this deal, and they refused to take the money.
We think the offer is an insult for what these poor passengers went through.
Yeah. They're giving the minimum they can. If the minimum was lower, they would give lower.
Compensation being offered is not commensurate.
Take it.
Compensation being offered is not commensurate.
Later, Cost of Concordia would lodge a plea deal with the Tuscany court to pay a €1 million fine to avoid a criminal trial. The judge agrees. Cost of Concordia is now off the hook for all criminal liability for the whole.
This is why one judge should be able to dictate things. No. Does the other judge agree with your decision? No.
Thing. They've washed their hands of the incident. and flecked the residual droplets of responsibility onto the faces of 6 staff members. Passengers and relatives of the dead are livid that the company has been able to avoid criminal responsibility.
The company should not have been allowed to do that. I don't think you're allowed to bribe a judge. Let alone only $1 million? Even when you were paying the minimum, you'd have reached $1 million? So instead of paying everyone else that actually deserved the money, the $1 million, you paid one judge the $1 million.
Is not commensurate.
Civil suits against the company continue. By the way, the residents of the island of Giglio also banded together and sought damages. They didn't get much. Eventually, passengers who refused the initial compensation of $11,000 joined civil parties against Scatino in his trial in 2015.
Is not commensurate.
They were awarded €30,000 each. Other cases, especially those involving lost relatives, are settled for undisclosed amounts.
30,000. So that's about double what they were offered before. So that's almost triple, I think. So that's at least slightly better. I feel like that's slightly. I don't know if I would say sufficient, but definitely better than just like 10,000.
New York attorney Peter Renee traveled to Budapest to represent 6 real survivors of the disaster.
At Renee & Renee, we personally work on every case.
And we'll work harder than anyone to get you the most money possible in the shortest amount of time.
And while on the job, a 7th case cropped up. Via
I love the Asman video on the side.
email. An elderly woman, Alona, said,
"Help me, Mr. Ronai, for I have lost my daughter, Eva, and my 5-year-old granddaughter, Roxana."
So Mr. Renai agreed to speak with her. However, there were some inconsistencies in her story. Neither Eva nor Roxana were on the passenger list. Odd, but Costa is known for having stowaways.
Gotcha, bitch!
Still, Mr. Renai was suspicious.
I'd have been suspicious.
They wouldn't cheaty old Petey, would they? Renai inquired further about why she was on board, especially without a ticket. Ilona said,
"Well, I don't know, but you should ask her boyfriend.
Zolt Horvath.
He'll know all the details."
I'm up all night. I'm going crazy, he said. But Mr. Renai was still suspicious. Because then she asked, "How much money do you think this is worth?"
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Throw her in the brig.
This is a huge red flag, Petey. In 20 years of doing this, you've never had anyone.
Yeah, like, in 20 years... I don't even need to do this 1 year to know that that's a red flag. They just want to know what happened. How did it happen? Because usually that's what people want to know. They just want to know, like, things were okay at the end, you know? Like, money's the last thing on their minds.
Ask about money. Why now? So Mr. Renai hired an investigator and sent photos around of the missing girl. The next day, the phone rang. Oh, hoi hoi. It was the boyfriend again. Look, there's been a bit of a misunderstanding and the child isn't missing at all. Uh-huh. And then he claimed he was confused because he had done too many drugs the night before. Oh. Okay, can I speak to the daughter then? At first, he was refused. So Renai said that he'd have to file a missing persons report to the police if he couldn't. The boyfriend relented. That night, Renai met with Zolt and brought the police with him. He speaks to the granddaughter and asks her if she's seen Mum. Yeah, I saw her today. Oh, really? Yeah, we went to the park today and we went on the swings. Oh no, the jig was up. So the mum walks into the room sheepishly. It's a miracle. And the story changed again.
Sweet girl for telling the truth.
I'm not dead, but I did injure my leg when I jumped from the ship. And then I immediately flew back to Budapest. Although don't worry about checking my leg because there are no visible marks or injuries. Oh, Petey, I'm beginning to think they weren't even on the boat. Also, it turns out this lady isn't her mum, it's just a neighbor. Eventually, Renee managed to make the pair confess. And then they said, hey, we haven't done anything wrong. We haven't taken any money. And
I'm sorry, but No, you did something wrong.
In the end, it looks like there'll be no criminal punishment for the scam, because Hungary, a former communist country, has no laws against insurance fraud on the books.
The love room that never sleeps. Call 1-800-664-7.
Oh, that's a bad idea. Oh, that's a very bad idea.
He did. Dead.
Mario, would you teach me some Italian?
Oh, of course! Means get back on board for fuck's sake.
Okay, thanks.
Gregorio De Falco, the naval officer who shouted at Schettino to "Vada a bordo caso," became a bit of a national hero overnight in Italy. He, like the rest of the world, the captain chickened out. De Falco was there to admonish him. And when he stopped answering the radio, he called him on his cell phone to continue putting him on blast. When the captain first reported just a blackout, De Falco didn't believe the story and immediately began preparing a rescue effort, which likely saved several lives. His actions were applauded by most Italians.
Yeah, I would have. That's what the captain should have been doing.
Tired of their public servants being corrupt and avoiding responsibility. Accordingly, shirts sporting "Vada a bordo caso" were being printed by the end of the week. Others
I want one.
ringtone. But then, in September 2014, without warning...
Wait, they made it a ringtone? That's hilarious.
De Falco was transferred to an admin role in the Coast Guard.
Hear what I said? You've been demoted.
De Falco said that he had been passed up for promotion, that he had also not been told which admin office he was even being transferred to, and that it all effectively cancelled 10 years of his career. De Falco was tres furioso.
I'd have been pissed off. I did my job adequately, mind you. More than adequately. You're gonna demote me?
And there was public speculation that it was owing to bad blood between himself and Admiral Delano, his former boss. His status among the public overshadowed his superior in many ways. On the other hand, his boss said, no, it's part of a normal career progression for naval officers and that he must show more maturity and professionalism to advance his career. Now, it's hard to know what's true in office politics, so let's leave that alone. And anyway, in 2018, De Falco said "Buenas noches, ya later" to the Italian Navy to become a politician. In March that year, he was elected to the Italian Senate, serving as a member for Livorno. He still serves there today.
Well, that's nice. He basically used his popularity to get some sort of, like, adequate, like, position.
I'm the captain.
That slow walk to the pole.
The day after the disaster, Schettino was taken into custody by police and underwent questioning. However, it was clear that this would not be a straightforward investigation. So the judge released him under house arrest at his home in Sorrento, a town in Napoli. By July of that year, the house arrest was relaxed and he was allowed within this general area. While under house arrest, he wrote a book with this journalist from Rai magazine. I have no idea what it says, I don't speak Italian. But goddammit, he must have some kind of charisma going on, because there's been a lot of speculation in the press that he had an affair with her as well.
You can't keep getting away with it!
Hold on, I got it.
It's Italy. What are you gonna do? It's Italy.
Not content with abandoning his ship, this dude is determined to abandon his wife as well. So,
why she's with him, maybe Italy knows.
Schettino and 5 others are facing criminal charges. Straight away, everyone lodges a
Hi,
plea
Simon!
report, and all of those plea bargains are accepted, except for Schettino's. And the condition of everyone's reduced sentences are that they must provide witness testimony against Schettino.
He talked to me.
Ciro, Jacob, and Silvia
Oh, crap.
are given suspended sentences. Roberto and Manrico are able to opt for community service or house arrest. Not a bad deal.
Good deal. Good deal.
and that meant that Schettino was now all on his own. Ciro, the first officer, was the first to give his testimony. On the witness stand, he claimed that Schettino was distracted by his mistress.
I feel like him being distracted with the reporter lady probably caused this on himself.
And other guests.
But okay.
That there was confusion over who was in
I'm loving the evolution of this ship crashing.
command. Then it was Jacob's turn, and
this man
did Lamau XD because he didn't actually bother with his testimony or his reduced sentence. He just fled the country. It took authorities 12 months to eventually track him down on the outskirts of Jakarta. And when they said, "Oi, we still want that witness testimony," he just scalped again, and he hasn't been found since.
Alright.
After that, Ferrarini gave his testimony, then look, we don't have time to relitigate the whole trial, so let's just go straight to the verdict. Guilty! Schettino was found guilty of multiple manslaughter, causing a shipwreck, abandoning ship, and lying to authorities. He is sentenced to 16 years and 1 month in prison. But wait.
He's not going to serve any of that, is he?
There's still the appeals. The appeals trial begins. And the verdict on the appeal? Surprise! Rejected. So Schettino's lawyers appealed again. And the verdict on the final appeal?
Schettino made multiple attempts to secure a plea deal but was denied by the prosecution each time. The prosecution called for Schettino to be sentenced to 26 years in prison, calling the incident a Titanic affair.
Oh, okay. I see what you did there.
Schettino was not present. His lawyers stated that he was waiting outside of the jail for the ruling, so that if his plea was rejected, he could immediately start serving his sentence. And with that, 5 years and 4 months after the disaster, he was finally in a cell.
Said I will not be making any comment. Oh, God, that hurt.
Linus ship tips. Oh my god. I love it.
Operation was
Debating on whether you should play Berserker mode, start clips in. I don't know.
It took over 2 years and cost an estimated $1.2 billion. Beginning in early 2012, they first spent 2 months pumping fuel from the ship's tanks. At the same time, they had to pump seawater in so that the balance wasn't affected and the ship didn't slide around. In early 2013, a platform was built under the ship to prevent it from falling further. Sponsons were then attached to the sides
I just
of the
got
ship,
out of the
and cables
labyrinth.
attached to...
Boka, you gotta hide me. I'll give you snacks. Oh no, I'm being dragged back in.
You can stay here, Ostrich.
The underwater platform. The sponsons were then dragged underwater and opened up to allow the ocean to fill them. The ship could then roll over properly. By late 2013, the ship was upright once more. The sponsons were then attached to the side of the ship to help keep it balanced. It now rested partially above water and crews could walk around safely. By July 2014, the water was removed from the sponsons and compressed air was pumped in to lift the ship. And she was ready to cruise again. This time to a port in Genoa. It was a 4-day towing journey to the docks where a 2-year process of dismantling and recycling would begin. That same weekend of the towing, Schettino was busy. He was the guest of honor at a white party on an island in the Bay of Naples. He appeared on the front page of a local newspaper, flanked by 2 of Italy's most eligible bachelorettes.
I'm confused. Alrighty then.
Anyway, so these are the things that I remember from the Cost of Concordia. That sweet maiden of the sea. And as for you, little fella, well, it's time to return you from whence you came.
Is he claiming to have the bell and he giving it back to the ocean?
6 quick things. 1. NordVPN, good product, check them out. Number 2. There's a new video on the second channel. You probably didn't see it because it was temporarily restricted. Now it's not. Enjoy! 3. If you've never seen the second channel before, give it a go. It's a different type of content, but we put a lot of production into it. It's not just offcuts. 4. There are a couple secret channels as well, but I ain't telling you where they are. 5. No more 45-minute videos on the main channel. Back to 10 to 15 minutes and more of them. 6. There's a Q&A coming out next week on incognito mode. It's got a ton of detail that we had to cut for the sake of brevity, and will no doubt feature a ton of corrections.
You recommend watching the...
That's it. Thank you.
That? Okay.
Spicy.
Spicy. So, lock on. I forgot to record. He's quiet. That's not a good sign. Lock on! Don't do it! I'm sorry! I'm sorry. Please forgive. Merry Christmas. Hello, darkness, my
old friend.
I'm sorry! You're supposed to remind me, Lock. Valley, I'm gonna fight you. What are you doing, Simon?
As punishment, Bokath one
Debating
pack,
on
Bokath
whether or
one
not-
pack, one pack.
No! No! No!